This is a quick reaction, rapid reaction. I'm sitting here looking at Stewart Mandel's predictions for the Big Ten Conference in the Athletic. Stewart Mandel is one of the top pundits in the nation for college football. He's, I think, always been an excellent writer, had excellent viewpoints. He picks Ohio State to win the Big Ten and kind of above everybody by a ways. I don't necessarily disagree with that. I think if they, as he points out, I think if they straighten out their defense issues, that they probably have a shot at a national title this year. But what I'm surprised by is his predictions for the Big Ten West, and specifically Nebraska. And he picks Nebraska with a 2-7 record in the Big Ten, 4-8 overall. He doesn't really detail who we're going to beat with those two. He also picks Northwestern at the bottom with us with the same record. He has Northwestern slightly above Nebraska, so I'm guessing that he thinks that, well, we're going to beat Indiana, who he predicts at 0-9, and Rutgers has a 3-6 conference record. So maybe he's thinking we beat Indiana and Rutgers, and that's it for the year. But he also obviously picks that midway through the season, Scott Frost will be fired, and Nebraska will run their way through another ho-hum season. I mean, under this, he has coach most likely to get fired, Nebraska, Scott Frost. He has Iowa in the Big Ten West, Minnesota behind them, Purdue and Wisconsin, all with similar records, really. I guess I wouldn't disagree with that. But I guess what I'm shocked about is that, I know I can be cynical, and I know I can be a pretty Scott Frost hater guy, but to see somebody else's predictions that are probably a little bit worse than mine is kind of shocking. I don't know what we're going to do if we actually go 2-7 in the Big Ten, other than just stop watching. I think most people will just completely stop watching. The other thing I think is that let's do a couple scenarios. Nebraska beats Northwestern and begins to build momentum. At that point, I'd say that Stewart Mandel is off, and then we're going to finish a minimum of 7-5 and 8-4, and then we can argue about Scott Frost. The other thing I'd say is the other scenario is Nebraska loses to Northwestern. I personally, if I was Trev Alberts, would fire him immediately after that game, because you want people going to the rest of the games this season. If we lose Northwestern, my general feel is that people are just going to we're not attending football games anymore. Keep in mind that's $3 million in revenue that Nebraska gets from every home game. So you kind of have to protect that. I realize there's this whole the buyout drops and, where does it fit in and stuff like that. That shouldn't matter. It really shouldn't. If this is a timing thing, and the reason why I say you'd fire him right after Northwestern if he loses is you look at Mark Whipple and say, take over this team, or probably Eric Chinander and say, take over this team for the rest of the season and we'll figure it out after the season's over. That gives the team a chance to come together. I mean, we've seen this before where coaches are fired in the middle of the season. Teams either fall apart or they come together and they win games. And I think we have a good enough team to win a games, even if Scott Frost is fired, and say Mark Whipple, who has experience as a head coach. The reason why you'd give him the job instead of Mickey Joseph is Mickey Joseph has never yet been a coordinator. We don't know if he's capable of being a head coach, and that's usually the stepping stone. Position coach, coordinator, head coach. I know you all love Mickey Joseph, but probably not ready to ascend that. We can all make this moot by beating Northwestern, which I would expect us to beat Northwestern because I don't think they're very good. And I've said that a few times. I just said it again. But I'm just, I guess I'm shocked that Stewart Mandel has such a worse attitude toward our program than I do. Because, well, I guess I did earlier say 3-9. Maybe that'll happen. It's kind of like looking at somebody else's cynical view and going, wow, what the hell? Okay, I'm John Johnston, Coordination. Subscribe to my channel. I'm going to probably try to do more like quick, rapid stuff like this. Let me know if you like this kind of stuff. It's easier for me to do because I can just stop what I'm doing, take a break in the middle of the day and do one of these. Thank you. And I appreciate your feedback.